Bruiser Reksai has remained a strong comp throughout this set so far, but has sailed under the radar for most of it, and in this video I'll teach you how to master this comp by going over the build, what items to make, and which augments, legends, and portals to take, how to play the early, mid, and late game, and then I'll go over some in-depth positioning examples. The build is pretty linear, as we always want to have 4 Bruisers and Kaisa in our team, where Rek'Sai is our main carry, and Kaisa is our secondary carry. The other Bruisers are in there to buff up Rek'Sai even more. This is a slow roll comp that wants to get 3-star Reksai, therefore we will stay level 7 for most of the game. The remaining 2 units we add in are Lissandra and Yasuo. Lissandra is in there to give us Freljord, which helps Rek'Sai and Kaisa get through more tanks, and her ultimate is useful to help Rek'Sai burst through the front line. Yasuo is in there to give Challenger to Kaisa, but he can be replaced by any other Challenger unit. We will be slow rolling at level 7 to hit Rek'Sai 3-star, and once you hit, you will level up to 8 and add in another unit. Which one it is depends on the current lobby, your augments, and what you hit, and we'll get into that later in the video. Rek'Sai is our main carry, so we prioritize making items for her first. She has one core item, and that is Titan's Resolve. This item gives us armor and MR, and since she has a ton of HP, this armor and MR results in a ton more effective HP. This item also deals AD and AP. The AD is great for damage, and the AP is great as it increases the true damage and healing she gets from her spell. The second item wants to be a healing item. The best one is BT, as we get a giant shield with it, but Hodge and Gunblade can also work as replacements. The third item wants to be a damage item. You will pick one of IE, Giant Slayer, Deathblade, Guardbreaker, or another Titans. All of these work great. At this point, we also want to focus on Kaisa items, so don't worry too much about picking one over the other. Also, since we are running Freljord most of the time, do not build Last Whisper on Rek'Sai, even though most of her damage is AD. After you've made Rek'Sai items, we want to make items for Kaisa. Here are some examples of final builds for her. As you can see, she wants mostly AP and damage items, but healing and mana generating items also work. Note that Rageblade is a bad item on Kaisa. I see a lot of people building this item, but overall it is pretty bad on her. The only times you will ever put a Rageblade on Kaisa is if you slammed it in the early game, and now you don't have a better third item to put on her. If you still have items left over after having made 3 items for Rek'Sai and Kaisa, then you will itemize Sejuani. She wants standard tank items, but the ones that give her extra HP are much better because the Bruiser trait scales off of HP. Those are items like Warmogs, Redemption, and Sunfire. If you get a Spatula, you're not excited, but you can make Challenger Spat. This allows us to more easily fit in Challengers for Kaisa, and gives us more room for flexibility at later levels with this comp. However, we don't have a great holder of the Challenger Spat, therefore we're not excited to make it. So generally speaking, if you get a Spatula, turn it into a Tactician's Crown, or leave it as a dead item component. Getting 3 good items for both Kaisa and Rek'Sai will still be the #1 priority in that case, and Challenger Rek'Sai is pretty bad, so don't make that. The win condition of this comp is to hit Rek'Sai 3-star, and to hit 3 good items for both her and Kaisa. Therefore, we want to pick legends that help us reach this goal. The best legends are Urf and Ezreal. Urf has the chance to give us either a Bruiser, Freljord, or Void Emblem. All of these are great as we get easy access to 6 Bruiser with an emblem, and a Void Emblem lets us pivot into 8 Void at the end of the game, which will let us win most games. Ezreal is also a great option as it gives us more items and gold, which is great for getting to 50 gold faster. And it also makes it easier to itemize both Kaisa and Rek'Sai. The best portals for this comp are Stillwater Hold, Placidium Library, the Summit, Yordle Portals, Thresh's Sanctum, and the Lavender Sea. And the best augments for this comp are Stable Evolution, Void Heart Crest or Crown, Bruiser Heart Crest or Crown, Ancient Archives, Titanic Strength, Gifts from the Fallen, Jewel Lotus, Unified Resistance, Long Distance Pals, Know Your Enemy, Tons of Stats, Magic Wand, Mana Burn, Freljord Heart, and Buried Treasures. I mentioned a lot of augments there, and the best ones out of those are Stable Evolution, Void Heart Crest or Crown, Mana Burn, Bruiser Heart Crest or Crown, Freljord Heart, and Gifts from the Fallen. If all that info was a lot to take in, then check out the cheat sheet for this comp. It's available for patrons and YouTube members. Here is the quirky cheat sheet from a previous set, so you know what to expect for the Rek'Sai reroll cheat sheet that is available right now. The best case in the early game is to get an early Rek'Sai either from a level 4 shop or dropped from an orb, and if you are able to hit 3 Void, you are in a great spot to win streak in the early game. If you don't hit Rek'Sai though, you can replace him with another Void unit like Kassadin, and you will still be in a good spot there. Some other good openers that also work are 4 Bruisers, Rogue with either Zed or Viego carry, or Kled carry. We want to pre-level with this comp on stage 1-4, as we get a lot of power in the early game if we are able to hit Rek'sai early. This will make it easier to hit 4 Bruisers and Void, while also giving us more power, as Rek'sai is a great early game carry. And once we have found our comp, we need to make items. Again, focus on Rek'sai items first, although you can slam AP items for Kai'Sa if you have a good AP item holder. Healing items like BT tend to not be great in the early game unless you have a melee carry to use them. Besides that, you can slap any items for Kai'Sa or Rek'sai, but try not to use up components for Rek'sai items while making items for Kai'Sa, as Rek'sai items are more important. From here, you want to win streak if possible, but going for a loss streak also works, and if you want to learn more about how to play the early game, then check out my guide where I go in depth on that subject. After the Krugs round, you should have more direction towards a comp, and the general requirements to play Rek'Sai reroll is to have one component for a healing item on Rek'Sai, and made one other Rek'Sai item. Additionally, we also want to have 3 Void and 2 Bruisers active on stage 3-1, so that we can get specific augments for those traits offered to us on stage 3-2. The general goal in the mid game is to try to maintain high HP and gold count, and to survive until level 7, where we will start to slow roll. However, sometimes we have to take action in the mid game to save HP, and one of the ways of doing that is to roll at level 6 on stage 3-2. Here you will aim for a board similar to this, where we have 4 Bruisers and 3 Void. But note that it's important to be flexible in these rolldowns, and there are a lot of other options that work. But if you are a newer player and you're weak in the mid game, then aim for this board. Another option if you need to roll is to do a level 7 all-in on stage 3-5. Here you will just roll and try to hit the level 7 board we will be slow rolling with. But again, you don't have to keep rolling until you hit this exact board in order to be stable. And once you're done rolling, econ back up to 50 gold and push towards level 7 if you haven't done so already. Once you get to stage 4-1, the goal is to have 50 gold or more while being level 7. Here we will start slow rolling by rolling down to 50 gold every single turn. Our 3-star priority is just Rek'Sai. Generally speaking, it's not worth spending gold trying to 3-star any other units, as they are not that impactful, so only focus on Rek'Sai 3-star in this comp. We will be slow rolling with this board at level 7. Replace Yasuo with any challenger unit until you hit him, and use Vel'Koz as the item carrier until you hit Kai'Sa, and replace Lissandra with Ashe until you hit her. If we get +1 Bruiser, we will drop Yasuo for Renekton or Sion if you hit him early, and put the emblem on Lissandra. If you get +1 Freljord, we don't change our board, just place the emblem on Vi or Cho'Gath. And if we get +1 Void, we can consider pivoting into 8 Void after we've hit Rek'Sai 3-star, or we drop the Rek'Sai comp and just play 8 Voids instead with Rek'Sai and Kai'Sa carry. You will slow roll until you get to around 30 HP. Here you will need to all in for Rek'Sai 3-star. The reason for the 30 HP mark is so that we have 2 to 3 lives left, and we avoid getting knocked out if we run into one bad matchup. And once you hit your 3-star, level up to 8 and add in Rise for Invoker, or add in Sion and Renekton for 6 Bruisers. Which you pick depends on what you hit and what the portal is, but generally speaking, both of these options are great. And if you make it to level 9, which is rare but can happen, then you want to add in Rise or a second Sion or Sejuani for more frontline. In order to understand the positioning of this comp, we need to understand Vi, Lissandra, and Rek'Sai's spell. Vi shreds armor in a 1 hex radius. This increases Rek'Sai damage, as she deals attack damage and true damage. Lissandra makes enemies within 2 hexes of her target take increased damage, resulting in even more damage on Rek'Sai's spell. And Rek'Sai deals attack damage with her spell while they are above 60% HP, but when they get below that threshold, she deals true damage that scales off of both AD and AP. Rek'Sai will also jump through the target while executing, which sometimes results in her having jumped into the backline and will start to target the enemy carry. Now moving on to general positioning with this comp, which looks like this. Here we have Rek'Sai closer to the middle, so that she doesn't get targeted by the backline carries right away, as those are typically placed in the corners. We have Vi next to Rek'Sai so that she shreds armor for her, resulting in Rek'Sai dealing more damage. Lissandra is lined up to ult the target Rek'Sai is attacking, making it easier for her to burst through the front line. Cho'Gath, Sejuani, and the Void spawn are taking damage, keeping Rek'Sai safe. Kai'Sa can be placed pretty much anywhere, just make sure she doesn't get CC'd by Jarvan or Sion before she ults. Yasuo can also be placed anywhere. If you don't have items on him, he will do very little damage, but if you keep him closer to the sides, he can sometimes jump on the enemy carry and do some work. Now moving on to some in-depth examples. Against the first guy, the big threat is Azir and Lux. We have Kai'Sa on the other side of Jarvan to not get stunned by his spell. Rek'sai will hopefully target Nasus so that he will jump through the Nasus and land close enough to attack Azir next. Yasuo is also on the other side to hopefully get within range so that he can hit Lux with his spell. Against the second guy, the big threat is Yasuo. It's hard to position against this comp since Yasuo's spell is random, and Kai'Sa will be hard to chase down. But generally speaking, you want to avoid Rek'Sai being in range of the first cast from Yasuo. You also want to avoid set spell as he will CC Rek'Sai. Besides that, there is little else we can do in this matchup. Against the third guy, the big threat is Katarina and Darius. We generally want to spread out as Katarina will deal a ton of damage to clumped up teams, but we have too many melee units in this comp to do so. We want to keep Kai'Sa safe from Sion's ultimate by keeping her on the other side of him. We have Lissandra target Katarina with her spell to CC her. She can also be placed to target Darius instead if he is the stronger unit of the two. Besides that, there isn't too much else we can do, just make sure Vi is next to Rek'Sai and that Lissandra's spell will also affect the unit Rek'Sai is attacking. Thank you so much for watching. If you learned something, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel. If you want cheat sheets for any of my comp guides, they're available for you to members and patrons, and the links to join those are down in the description. And if you want to get better at TFT, join the Discord. We got over 9,000 other players there who are hungry to climb. And if you want to get coached by me, the information is over on the Discord server as well. So take care and see you in the next video.